In 2013, I was introduced to blockchain for the first time. And looking at traditional markets as we know today, I mean, here in Singapore, we're looking at an exchange like SGX. The predecessor to that was Cymex, which was a very, very active derivatives market into itself back in the 80s and 90s prior to the aggregation with the Singapore Stock Exchange. What is in Japan and Hong Kong and in the last 2 decades, China, the markets have grown exponentially, both in the equities markets and commodities markets, but all on standard markets architecture, of which is really a legacy. I mean, some of the models actually go back over 100 years. And yes, they are electronic, but they're Windows-based market architectures, not anything particularly on the cutting edge, but they work. They're robust. They do what they're supposed to do. They risk mitigation and efficiency of asset holdings and transactions. But as we knew, we move into these new markets, and as Nilesh showed, how you can apply this to an old problem. How green or how dirty is my building? Technology has now advanced the ability to judge that, whether it's pre-construction, post-construction, renovation, or raising the building. That's all traceable and trackable now in real time. Similarly, that's what blockchain can do for a lot of commodities. And so I applied it first to gold, fractional ownership models around gold down to 1 gram levels. And we realized that we could achieve not just beneficial ownership and management of physical metal on a digital platform, but we could build payment facilities around it. We could do and introduce cards and payment systems to it. And it could be cross-border. But there was real assets underpinning it, gold held in vaults. How I got to carbon was really post-2015, and it's relevant to where we are today, especially with the Singapore Green Plan and what's going on broadly across Asia post the COP26 events in Scotland last year. Every country is evaluating their carbon, right? Whether they're net short carbon or net long carbon. And Singapore is net short carbon. It doesn't have an incubator for carbon projects. And a country like Indonesia is net long carbon because it's got a lot of nature-based and a lot of opportunities to really scale mitigation, removal, sequestration, and such around carbon projects. So the balance is, how do you track it, trace it, verify it, quality, and how do you incubate it? How do you finance it? So all of those parts were really very loose and open and undefined.